Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation, Agile and Traditional Project Management, Homogeneous or Hybrid. Over the years, software has become a necessary driver in innovation, a key player in the ability for us to connect with our customers, a means of bringing new products to market, and tools to help automate processes and bring efficiency to our workforce. It's fair to say that it is very much a software-driven economy. In fact, technology has become so complex due to the many moving pieces that most organizations have a major disconnect somewhere throughout their applications. These disconnects can cause major breakdowns, which prevent us from being productive, prevent the delivery of products, and even keep us from making the right decisions for our business. If you think about it, technology involves different teams, many times within different organizations. It can involve third-party APIs due to integrations and connectors. You may have an outsourced testing team involved in bringing your products to market. Given all these factors, it can be very difficult for executives and portfolio managers to get the information they need to not only manage a portfolio of work, but to optimize resources and ensure project performance is on track to ensure value is ultimately being delivered to the business. Different cadences, varying processes, and separate line of business software, while necessary, can prevent organizations from performing at their full potential. My name is Michelle from Tivity, and I will be your host and one of your presenters today. I have either been designing or implementing and supporting project and work management solutions, or overseeing teams that are designing, implementing, and supporting project and work management solutions for around 15 years, a problem solver at heart, and have a particular passion for user adoption and customer success strategies. I also have on the line with me my colleague, Matt Willey. Matt is one of our product gurus and has a proven track record in architecting and deploying amazing solutions built on Microsoft technologies. He's also got a background as a certified product owner within Agile product development teams, so he brings very valuable insights and experiences to the team. He's going to be walking us through a demo of our integrated project and Agile management solution a bit later in the presentation. So with that, let's get started. As technology has evolved over the years, it has changed the way we deliver products and services. In fact, if you look at the history of most products, you'll see that technology clearly drives our ability to innovate. I've put a few of my favorite examples up on the screen. It's also a customer-driven economy. Once we take the needs of the customer out of the picture, we eliminate the possibility that it will satisfy the customer, and let's face it, the customer is the only element that can keep a company alive. Blockbuster is a perfect example. At one time, it was a booming video rental company. At its peak in 2004, it had nearly 60,000 employees and 9,000 locations. But regardless of its success and growth, the needs of the customer changed. People started realizing that there was a better way to consume video services. Now the likes of Netflix or Apple TV, even Amazon, have taken over that market. As technology has progressed, it was the needs of the people that drove the end result. So what does that mean for our organizations? Well, it means that we have to develop technology at a rapid pace. It means that we need to adhere to the cost-saving disciplines found in project management, such as cost control, resource management, and risk management. But it also means we must be agile and experiment a little to stay ahead of the competition and keep up with demand. And finally, we have to listen to the needs of our customers. Simply put, this can create challenges for all of the various roles involved in product delivery, all of whom typically have different processes, different tools, and a completely different way of doing their everyday work. So what are the challenges that most organizations face today? Every large organization over time develops some sort of process or procedure to enable employees to obtain the information, products, and services they need to perform their jobs. The challenge is everything is done in different systems, processes vary from team to team, and most importantly, everyone has a different objective. Employees are forced to navigate their way through this maze of forms and applications and processes and locations, which ultimately leads to frustration, confusion, and loss of time. In addition, information is distributed in silos. There are too many manual processes in place, Teams are not working towards those common goals, and that makes project cost, value, and performance anything but transparent to the business. So I love this graphic. I felt this way many times in my career. Employees are feeling a ton of pressure due to this pace of change that our organizations go through to keep up with technology. Systems are getting more complex due to more elaborate features and functionality. Applications are multiplying by the day, and employees are struggling to find the answers to the most basic questions. So we've essentially built this brick wall that is acting as a barrier, preventing teams from easily collaborating and sharing. This leads to people working in silos on different sides of the wall, leading to inefficiencies and ineffectiveness. This highly affects employee turnover, satisfaction, and work fulfillment. In fact, employee engagement is 100% critical for productivity. The bottom line is a disconnected and disengaged workforce. Operating in this rapidly changing and complex work environment means lost productivity, innovation, and responsiveness. And this is where technology adoption comes into play. The biggest challenge of technology-driven change is achieving user adoption. Dig in a little deeper and we find that 70% of failed projects is actually due to lack of adoption of the tools being used. And in fact, another fun fact for you, 50% of functionality that is paid for by an organization is simply not used. This is a problem, and it's a problem that we here at Tivity have made our priority to address. Okay, so we've covered the problem. Now let's take a look at some of the information we need to know in order to address it. Agile project management is on the rise. One of our partners, version 1, they are an end-to-end Agile lifecycle management and solution provider. They conducted an annual report on the state of Agile. They actually do this every year. In late 2013, 88% of organizations were already practicing some form of Agile. That was up by 5% the previous year and 3% the year before that. So it's very common for Agile methodologies to coexist in organizations along with traditional PPM methods. So this really isn't a choice anymore. The PMO is going to have to support people and the processes that best suit the way they actually work when creating great software. And Agile teams need to help the PMO and executives have the visibility they need to run a successful business. So we've got the different methodologies that coexist within the organization, and in many cases, the projects delivered from them remain in disparate systems simply because the teams that own them have differing objectives. And when teams have different objectives, it often leads to conflicting views. We all know the PMOs are known to be structured and disciplined units that need to plan, manage, prioritize their project work against timelines and budget constraints. The PMO is a centralized resource for all of the project teams monitoring project delivery with a wide range of projects with defined goals and timeframes. Project managers have to consistently communicate about and report on their projects across business units and development methodologies to the PMO, so that then the PMO can present a single dashboard across a breadth of projects within a COO's control. So really, it's not surprising that the PMO is often heavy-handed, imposing a strict approach to these metrics and guidance across all these projects. Product teams, however, need flexibility. They need to be innovative and quick on their feet to stay ahead of the competition, which has driven these teams to adopt Agile best practices and methodologies. Developers require different tools because their planning is completely different. It's iterative. It allows for a think-on-your-feet mentality. They use continuous builds so that the customer regularly receives working software that allows the customer to gauge the product and then provide corrective measures before it's finalized. Both teams have specific ways of executing on their work, but we still need to get an enterprise-level view of all projects, their status, their strategic alignment, and their resources. Because in the end, we have to look at the needs of the executives who simply want to know if the work we are doing aligns with the business and its strategic objectives. I don't know of any executive who doesn't want a clear picture of the value that is being delivered to the business and the cost associated to that value. And in addition to being a technology-driven world, it's also a customer-driven world. We've learned over many years that if the customer isn't happy, nobody is. The needs of our customers must be met to ensure our success, which means that all of the individuals in this technology roadmap, whether it be the executive, development, PMO, or customer success, they all must be connected, engaged, and on the same page. Each team has specific challenges that can be resolved through a unified solution. Project managers have visibility into their work, but often they have no purview into the development schedule. With resources working on both types of projects, Agile and traditional, they need to be able to have visibility across their team's work regardless of where the work resides. Agile teams speak a completely different language than the PMO, ethics, story points, velocity. These challenges lead to a disconnect between the two teams that can cause bigger challenges for the organization as a whole. Executives responsible for making the decisions that keep the organization alive, they need that holistic picture. Where are we going? What are our priorities? And how much value are we delivering? Then we go over to customer success, and they're missing the information they need to stay engaged with the customer. Where are the products going that my customers are using? And what projects are in progress for each engagement? So how can you bridge these gaps that are impacting your team's productivity and the business's bottom line? Tivity has been working on Microsoft project implementations for many, many years, and it was clear in many of our clients' deployments that there was a need to connect systems together so that teams can work better together, consolidate data for decision-making, and keep teams working towards common goals. We have developed a tool called Project Connect to do just that. Project Connect is Tivity's tool for Microsoft projects that allows you to synchronize information across systems to gain better visibility and control, improve collaboration, traceability, compliance, and unified reporting. Project Connect can help you easily integrate systems with Microsoft Project Online to form a true all-work management platform. You can see a few examples here on the screen. So what does that look like? Here are a few use cases depending on what technologies you're using for executing on work that shows what Project Connect can do to connect your teams, their various work processes, and workflows together for a complete end-to-end work management system for the enterprise. So if we drill in a little bit more, let's look at the use case for IT specifically. This is an example of an IT unified PPM, services, and Agile solution. This solution connects portfolio planning and strategic alignment with all development projects, which provides timely and actionable information, increasing project visibility and transparency, reducing costs, and accelerating product or application time to market. Here you can see your traditional PPM disciplines across the top that are critical for all project success. You then have Microsoft Project, a standard tool used within PMOs and other project groups for traditional project management. In the middle, you have Jira, commonly used for small teams, TFS for those Microsoft dev shops, and version 1 for larger dev shops that have enterprise agile or a more disciplined and governance approach. On the right, you have the customer and all of the services needed to keep your IT organization and your customers' needs met. Again, this is one unified solution for services, agile, and traditional project management. For a little more detailed visual, here's one place to get information for improved decision-making and bring all of your work and projects into one powerful unified solution. And before I hand it over to Matt for the demo, I want to look at one particular use case involving agile and traditional project management. So here's a sample process flow. First, you kick off the project selection process within the PMO. The PMO then assigns dates and tasks. The development team manages their tasks and dates within their system of choice while reporting progress back to the PMO. So the executives can then have a single source of truth for the overall reporting of the portfolio. So with that, Matt, I'm going to turn it over to you for the demo.
Perfect. Thank you, Michelle. So we're logging in here into Project Online. Project Online is the online SaaS version of Project Server, if you're familiar with Project Server. But it's all tied into the Office 365 experience. So when I'm logged into Project Online here, for example, I have access to all of the different Office 365 apps that we've enabled for our organization. So I see things like my Outlook mail, my calendar, OneDrive, so I can upload documents, etc., etc. So when I'm in Project Online, the very first area that I'm going to go into is here, which is the project requests area. So what you can do is you can have one central repository where people can go and insert their project requests. This is a key thing to have instead of, in a lot of organizations, people send emails, hey, what if we do this project? Oh, I think we should do this. This is good, et cetera, et cetera. But there's not one unified place to see all of those requests and then prioritize them and start to rate them and figure out, well, which ones maybe should we be interested in doing? So this is that place. You can see all the different requests. You can rate them. So if you want to make it a little bit more social, collaborative, people can actually come in and rate these, and it'll give you the average rating here, so you can see that. You can see some other information about the project request. What are the estimated benefits, estimated costs, right? You put in some high-level key information for these requests when you put them in. And then hopefully you give your people some guidance on which initiatives or goals that you're looking for project requests on, right? Here are the goals that we're trying to meet. Please go and put in some requests for projects that you think might help in those particular areas. So this is how the process starts, but it's definitely not the end. So from here, what you can do is whoever is in charge of reviewing all of these project requests can come in, look through them, see, oh, this one has a really high rating, and it looks really good. We can get some good benefit from it. Yeah, maybe we want to look into this more. We're not quite saying, yes, we're going to do it, and here's when we're going to do it yet. We'll get to that. But right now, I just want to say create project, and what that's going to do is it's going to push it into our list of proposed projects so that we can start to do a little bit more analysis. So let's take a look at that. Project Online has a very powerful, robust analysis engine that allows you to come in and build what they call scenarios, and these scenarios allow you to figure out what projects should we be doing, right? We have limited budget, we have limited resources, and we need to figure out which projects are going to give us the most value, the most bang for the buck, so to say, from our portfolio. So the way this works is beforehand, you go and you set up different business drivers. So a business driver is going to be something like expanding into new markets or increasing revenue, things like that. And then each person or group of people can rate those drivers and say, driver A, expanding into new markets is more important to us right now than increasing revenue. Those types of things. So you use this basically what's called a pairwise comparison. You use that to define the priorities on those different drivers. Now, the CIO can have his own priorities, the COO can have his priorities, and then maybe executives as a whole, what we call the executive consensus, can have their priorities. And when you go to set up the scenarios, you're going to select certain projects and requested projects. So I have 21 projects that I've already selected here. And then I pick which set of drivers and which priorities do I want to use. The CIOs, let's say, if we're looking at more IT type projects. I might use the executive consensus if we're looking at projects across the organization, whatever makes sense there. Once you've done that, then you have to go through and you have to prioritize the projects. So each project, you score basically for each of those drivers that you've set up. So one of our drivers is expand into new markets. One of our projects is annual report preparation, and we're saying that is going to help us expand into new markets. So you can come in and basically score each of these projects for each of the drivers. And once you've done that, it's going to then tell you, okay, based off your drivers, based off of the priorities that you set on those drivers, and all of the scores that you gave each of these projects, we can now tell you which projects are going to be the most valuable to your organization based on your goals and your weightings of those goals, those drivers. So I can see here at the very top of my list, the project that scored the best was the e-commerce portal development, at 8.3%. And down at the very bottom is Upgrade Dynamics CRM. Now, just because it's the highest tier doesn't mean we should necessarily do it. What if it costs millions and millions of dollars, whereas I could do every other project, and maybe that's the only project I can do if I want to do that one, whereas I can do all of the other projects within my budget possibly, and get a lot more value than just that value of that one project, even though it's the highest value. So a lot of times in organizations, this is a really hard question to answer. Even if you get a prioritized list of projects, well, there's cost and there's resources that go into those projects. So which one should we really do to get the most value for our business? Well, I've jumped now here into the cost analyzing part of the system. And what this is going to do is it's going to show me, based on those priorities, and based on, let's say we had a $4 million budget, and you can play with this, by the way. What if we had a $3 million budget? What if we had a $5 million budget? And see what the differences are there. But if we had a $4 million budget, the projects that are selected here in the green column are the ones that we should do. And then down at the bottom, there are 4 projects that it deselected and saying we should not do those ones. If we do this, then we're going to be able to get 84% of the value out of our portfolio. So we're going to be able to get 84% of the value of all of those projects that we were considering doing. If you move that up to $5 million, you're going to be able to do more projects. That value is going to go up. If you move that down to $3 million, then that percent is going to go down, that type of a thing. So you can start to play around with that and see, well, what if we invested $500,000 more dollars? How much more value can we get? And you can start to get really good answers to that. But then cost isn't the only restriction or the only thing that's going to keep you from doing projects. Another key part of completing projects is having the resources and or the people to do those projects. So the next part of this is, now that we figured out which projects we have money to do, well, do we actually have the people, the resources to do these things as well? So we can see that we don't. Here what it's doing is it already dropped out those 4 or so projects that we didn't have money for, so they don't even show up here on the list. But then we only have resources to do these projects that are here in green, and we don't have the resources to do these projects that are here under the not selected area in gray. But what we can do is we can say, well, what if we hire more resources? Then can we do more projects? Right now my scenario is set out if we hire 3 more resources, we can do these projects, but I could bump that to 5, I could bump that to 6. And we can start to figure out, okay, we actually have the money to do this, we just don't have the people. And we can bump this up and hire more resources and see if that helps. You can also change the start date of projects. So what if I push these projects out so that they're staggered a little bit more? Will that help us to be able to do these projects within the resources that we have? And it can. And your goal is always just to get that strategic value higher. So by hiring more resources, by moving around projects, can we get more value out of our portfolio? And a lot of times you can. It makes it really easy to see that. But then, okay, we're hiring 3 more resources. Well, who do we need to hire? And how long do we need to hire them for? So there's actually a report here called the Hired Resources Report, which answers that question, right? So instead of playing around with spreadsheets and trying to figure these things out and talking to everybody, et cetera, it's usually a very difficult process to come up with this. It gives you the answers right here. It says you need 2 infrastructure people and 1 support person to be able to do these projects. Here's the start date of the projects that we need these people to work on. Here's the end date. Here's the amount of hours of work. And then it multiplies their rate and to give you a cost, so you can actually see the cost of these resources. So this is kind of a long period of time that we need these resources for. Maybe we should hire them full-time. If it's a shorter period of time, maybe you just contract with someone or get a temporary employee, something like that. But it's going to give you visibility into exactly what you need. So why are we looking at all this? Well, the key is that you're going to have both Agile projects and both standard project management projects, and as Michelle mentioned, a lot of times they're in different systems. With this, we can put them all into one system, prioritize them together where it makes sense, or you can prioritize them separately if that makes more sense depending on how your organization is, and figure out exactly which projects we're going to do. All of the Agile tools that I've ever worked with don't have tools like this to be able to figure out, which Agile projects should we be doing. So this is a great place to start and really see the different requests come in, prioritize them, figure out what we're going to do. From there, I can go ahead and create my project. So I'm going to go now into the Project Center, and I have a list here of all of my different projects. excuse me. And I can see, for example, here's my e-commerce portal development project. So let's say we selected some projects now. We said we're going to do these ones based off of all that analysis that we just did. And the e-commerce portal development project was selected. So now what I can do is I can build a resource plan, or we've already built a resource plan, I'm sorry. I can build my project schedule. So this has been selected. We're going to start working on it. I'm going to start building out my detailed project schedule. Well, this particular project is actually what I call a hybrid project. So you're able to do this within the system as well. You can have either just standard project management projects, you can have agile projects, or you can have kind of a combination of both of them together and draw some dependencies between the agile part of the project and the standard waterfall project management part of the project. So what I have here is some standard waterfall tasks, and as I scroll down, I get into the development section here, and under develop code, these are actually different user stories that we've developed that we want to send over into whatever agile system you're using. In this case, we're going to send them into Jira, but that could be version 1, that could be TFS, whatever makes the most sense for your agile team, and whatever they're currently using is definitely something that we want to be able to connect to. And I'm going to send those over into Jira. The way that I do that is very simple. There's a field here called sync or don't sync. If you set this to sync, it's going to sync it over to Jira. If you set it to don't sync, it won't sync it over to Jira. So I've now created some high-level user stories. I want to send those into Jira, and that's where they're actually going to manage these user stories, break them up, estimate points or work on them, and actually work on them and update status, etc. When you send it over, you can also pick what type of an item it is. So you could send over epics, you could send over user stories, these could be tasks, whatever makes the most sense for the type of work that you want to push over into Jira. So now that I've built these, I've synced them over, I'm going to go ahead and jump into Jira. So once you publish that project, it pushes those into Jira here, and you're going to see them show up in your backlog. So I have a backlog of user stories that I've pushed over. Some of these have already been scheduled into sprints, and some of them have not. But if I want to then go ahead and schedule this, it's as simple in Jira as just taking my user story and I drag and drop it, and I say, you know what, we're going to work on that one in sprint 4. Clearly, you can also estimate these things out in here, and when you estimate them, that information will send back into project so that they'll be able to see the estimated work in project for these different user stories. Or if you're using points, you can send that back as well. Then I can break these things up into subtasks. So if I want to create some different subtasks around this user story, it's too big. I need to break it down a little bit and assign it out to multiple people who are going to be working on it. I can create those subtasks. So I'm really managing the whole schedule here. Then, after I break them into subtasks, we've planned it, we've put things into sprints, we're ready to go, we're ready to start working on it, we can. So the next area here in Jira is the active sprint board. So this is looking at the current sprint, sprint 3, which is going on right now. And those items that we sent over from project are actually showing up here, and some of them we've broken down into subtasks, etc. Then all I do is as we work on it, we started working on this, we're now in progress on this particular item, drag and drop, sets it to in progress, and it pushes that information back into project. So I'm seeing status update in project in real time as these things change. So I don't even have to go log into Jira and try to figure out what's going on there. It all rolls back into project into one place with all my other project information. Then let's say you want to track some time here in Jira. So I don't want to make my product team have to track time here in Jira and track time in project so that we can see the amount of time that's being spent on these tasks, user stories, epics, etc. Instead, they can do it in Jira like they always would. Come in, say log work, put in time spent. I spent 8 hours today on this. I can update my remaining time, so I want to say I have about 8 more hours of work to do on this. I can put in a little note description there, log that, and it's actually going to send that time back into project as well so that we can see how much time is actually being spent on these items as they get updated too. So you can see how you can manage your project from an Agile perspective here in Jira, but let's take a look at how that all rolls back into project then. So what happens is I have my user stories here that I originally created, And then under them are all of the subtasks. So as they broke these things out into subtasks, if you want, these can actually roll back into projects. So you can see the different subtasks, the status of those, estimated starts and finishes if they're putting them in, those types of things, or you can just use the sprint start and finish. You can see the amount of work that they estimated out on it, who's assigned to it, et cetera, and there's more fields here that you can see all the different things that are going on. But it's great, right? So I'm here, I'm managing the project schedule from a higher level. We're pushing that high level work into Jira so that they can see what they need to work on and manage it there like they want to, and use a tool that makes sense for managing projects in an agile type of iterative fashion. But all that data can then roll back into one place. And what that lets me do now is if I go back out in here into my projects area, I see a list of not only my projects that are agile projects, not only my projects that are standard waterfall projects, but also my hybrid projects. All of my different projects, no matter what methodology we're using, all show up in one place with some similar KPIs and such, so we can get an idea and start comparing kind of apples to apples and see, okay, here's my e-commerce portal development project. How's it doing within this portfolio of projects? Well, the overall health is yellow, we're a little bit off. Schedule health is yellow, we're a little bit off. And we know these things because we're pulling all that information back in. So I don't have to try to log into two different systems or write reports that pull all this information together. It's already right here together for me, so I can see all of my projects in one place and get some key metrics and information about them. From there, though, there's lots of other reporting capabilities that you can use. One in particular, which I will show today, is Power BI. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into Power BI now. And because this information is all in the same place, we can easily pull it together in a tool like Power BI and create some really cool dashboards and reports that are going to give us visibility into, again, not only our waterfall projects, but our agile projects as well, and the hybrid ones. So if you don't know, Power BI is a tool that allows you to create really rich dashboards and reports, and it creates one place where people can go to see all of the reports in the dashboard. So this can show me more than just the data that's in Project Online or Jira, et cetera, that we're rolling together. You can really connect into virtually any application and get reports out of it and give them to your executives or managers in one place. The page that I see here and the dashboards that I see are relevant to me. I get to pick and choose which dashboards I want, and other people can pick and choose which dashboards they want to share with me. So it makes it a really personalized place where you can come in to get these dashboards. In this case, I'm looking at my project portfolio dashboard, and this is reading from Project Online, but because we sent all that Jira information back into Project Online, we can create a report very easily like this one here, or a dashboard that shows lots of cool things. What's the average project cost of our projects? It's about $24,000. How many active projects do we have going on right now? About 29. How many critical issues are open right now? About 5, right? Those types of things. So, and this is looking across, again, all of that work, all of our projects. Which projects have the most work going on right now? It looks like the hub upgrade is really big. The size of the square here basically tells us how much work is going on, is what this report's looking at. So here are our big projects, and then we have some smaller projects over here that we're working on. You can do all kinds of cool things. There's bubble charts that you can do in here. This particular one is a very nice bubble chart that shows you the further to the right the bubble is, the more return on investment you're getting. The further to the top, the more work you're spending. So in the best case, right, you want something to be, a bubble to be very far to the right and very low. That means you're not spending a lot of work and you're getting a lot of return. So these are some of your most key strategic projects that are giving you the most value for the least work or the least costs. Whereas if you go over here, this one's giving me very little value and it's costing us a lot of work, so maybe we need to look into that and see what's going on. So you can see you can get some very rich reporting in here. One of the cool features that I really like that makes it really easy for managers and executives alike to get the information they need is they built in this Google/Bing type search box into this, which actually allows you to search your data and it'll create charts on the fly. So for example, let's say I wanted to see a count of issues by project. As I type that in, oh, I misspelled it there. As I type that in, it actually looks through my data and figures out, okay, which chart would be the best to show that data. If I want to change that, say, from a bar chart to a pie chart, and then you just say pi, and it'll update to a pi. So instead of having to put in x-axes and y-axes and set up these things like you might do in an Excel or another application, you literally just search, and it creates this particular report for you. Then if I hit the pin button, it asks me what dashboard I want to pin it to, or if I want to create a new dashboard. I'm going to pin it to my existing project portfolio dashboard, and now when I go back there, I just created a new chart that's on my dashboard. So I'm getting the information I want. I can drag and drop it wherever I want it on my dashboard. If I click on it, it opens it up in full screen. So it's a very rich, nice, easy way to come in and get the information you need, all within one place. But again, it's not just my project information I can have in here. I can have my sales information, my service portfolio if we were connecting CRM into this. We just looked at one specific connection today, but if you have other connections, you can definitely come in and use those as well. So hopefully you can see how you can have one unified place to see all of your different, to prioritize and view status on all of your different projects, as well as costs, etc., resource load, and bring that all together into one place and have unified dashboards and reports where you can see all of that information and get visibility into what's going on without having to try to log into multiple different systems and make reports manually by copying data into Excel. It all just is automated and just works and gives you the information you need, so that you can hopefully be one of those companies like the Netflix that are delivering services really well to your customers. You don't want to get stuck in kind of the blockbuster age. Cool. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Michelle. She just has a couple more slides for you, and then we'll let you guys go.
Thanks, Matt.
No problem.
So I thought this might be the best way to consolidate all of the information we've taken and translate it into value. What do organizations want? Well, if any of you, an integrated all work management project might be the answer for you. Really, it's pretty simple and straightforward. Project success consistently within a reasonable amount of time for less money without any barriers getting in their way. Ultimately, they want to see the value they're receiving. They want to know that the money they've invested is well spent with a heavy return. They want to create efficiencies through automation. And most of all, they want to make their employees happy, because we all know that if your employees are happy, your customers are happy too. So a unified work management system should be delivering in all of these areas. Now, before we close, I want to give you a quick overview of Tivity and what we do. We are a one-stop shop for Microsoft Project Online. We have many apps that help you manage different areas of work, as well as integrations that streamline information, leveraging Project Connect, as we demonstrated earlier. We help our customers deploy and maintain their technology environments and provide end-to-end support to help your teams be successful using your Microsoft technology, whether it be custom solutions, pre-built solutions, deployment packages, scalability, help desk support, or training. We specialize in both adoption and productivity. And in a broader view, we are a business productivity solution provider. We have many years of Microsoft technology experience across the board and have been working with customers to adopt and excel in their online environments, really from way back when SaaS was actually still a new term in the industry. We offer pre-built business solutions that are designed to get organizations up and running quickly with little upfront cost, and leveraging best practice configurations so that you can get the most out of your Office 365 or Project Online environment. And as a thank you for joining us today, we'd like to extend a special offer to you. If you would like to receive a free PPM and Agile assessment and roadmap to help you work towards a unified Agile and PPM solution, please reach out to us at the email on your screen. We'll be happy to get back to you so we can schedule a one-on-one demo and we'll kick off the process. You can also visit us at project-online.com to access all of the information provided here in the presentation. Once again, thanks so much for joining us today. We hope you found the information useful and insightful. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Our information is here on the screen. We do have additional webinars on our website at either tivity.com or project-online.com. So check those out. I've added the next two on the screen for you. And you can also find more information on our pre-built solutions at those websites as well. So with that, we'll close our presentation, and thank you.